All right. Today is the 22nd of February, 2023. It's a beautiful day here in the South. It's about 90 days, I guess, since Janette passed away on the 20th of November. And it is a Wednesday, so that means it's a Wellness Wednesday. So a couple of things I wanted to talk about today are about Wellness Wednesday. So I thought I would, first of all, I guess I'll remind you the 5 stages of grief. And at this point, I think I've been through quite a few of them, so I don't think they have to go in any order, even though I think a lot of the current model is that it starts out with denial, anger. If you go back to some of the earlier videos, I was having a lot of anger that seemed like I couldn't really figure out why. Bargaining, depression, you know, you have some days that are harder than others, and then finally the goal in that model is to get to acceptance. So I found a book though, and it's been out for a while. It is called It's Okay That You're Not Okay by Megan Devine. So it came out in 2017. And when I saw that title, I've heard of it before actually. I've heard of another one that's similar to that regarding PTSD, and I thought that's what this was, but you know, you got to give it to the modern technology nowadays, how it feeds stuff, you know, into your you know, your iPhone. It's like it's listening to you. So I saw this on Audible and I went ahead and snagged it, and right away I realized, hey, this is something that I want to get on Kindle. So like the first part of this is, part 1 says this is all just crazy as you think it is. The reality of loss is chapter 1. Second half of the sentence, why words of comfort feel so bad. So if you're early on, or actually probably not even if you're early on. So this book really is, in the military we call it bluff, bottom line up front. So I should have started with that. So this book is good for somebody that, like me, that's going through those stages of grief. It's particularly helpful for those that have not gone through it yet. So if some of you are coming into the early stages of what I just went through, I definitely would recommend this book. If you know somebody that you just not sure how to deal with it, I would say check out this book. And particularly, I think if you're a healthcare provider, read chapter 5 in this book. So this book is it's called Meeting Grief and Loss in a Culture That Doesn't Understand, and it goes through so many of the things that you're like, yep, that happened to me. So see, I still got that little bit of COVID cough. A couple of things I think I just want to talk about 2 quick chapters here today and then wrap it up. Since it is Wellness Wednesday, I want to wrap it up with chapter 7, which is, you can't solve grief, but you don't have to suffer. So a little bit about this book. Originally I tried to get it on Kindle, and I did not know that there was a war between Amazon and Apple. So normally when you go to Amazon, the Amazon app, you can see all the books there, and I'll put the link down below. And to be quick about this, there is, I guess, some type of friction going on between Apple and Amazon when it comes to Kindle books in particular. So Apple has fixed it, so you cannot order this book on the Amazon app or the Kindle app. So the Kindle app works great. I love it on my iPad, because if you don't want to do the Audible type of audio book, the cool thing about it is if you buy the Kindle portion of it, you can see the words, you can make notes, you can do a lot of different stuff like that. When I did my master's degree, the Kindle app was awesome, and digital books were super great when you have to write your papers. So ironically, I had no idea that there was a fight going on between Apple and Amazon, and it would let you download the sample. So the sample is only about I think up to chapter 4 or 5, somewhere right in there. And there's like 16 chapters in this book, plus a prologue and afterlog, all that good stuff. And it gives you a bunch of things for notes, lots of good stuff. So I mean, the notes are great. They're great for a little outline, this kind of thing. So anyway, I ordered the book because I'm like, well, I went ahead and ordered the book. So I was gonna do this on Monday, but these books didn't get here till yesterday, which was a Tuesday. And I wanted to do this on Wellness Wednesday. I probably should have done it early in the morning, but I had other things going on, so other positive things, so that's a good thing. So I went ahead and ordered the book hard copy, and it showed up on Tuesday. And then I went ahead and Googled it. So I found out that you can order the Kindle book, but you have to go to a web browser, then sign into your Amazon account, and then go up to the top and pull down the different menus and work your way down to Kindle, and then work your way down to ordering the books, and then search for that title, and then it poof pops right in. So I went ahead and did that, but it's kind of cool that I actually have the hard copy book, and I went ahead and gave a copy to Alex, because in one of the cool things that it says in here, chapter 6 is living in the reality of loss. In one of the parts that says, for all you've had to do, you know, there's a lot to do when somebody passes away, even when you know it's coming. It's just, I think it's a lot more of a shock, you know, if somebody dies of an injury, or, you know, all the other types of ways that somebody could pass away, and it catches you off guard. But it says, it's okay to let people help where they can. It relieves some of the burden. One of the things that I used to get a lot, and I had said it, I think, in one of my earlier videos, that I do have I'm very fortunate to have some good friends and people that are asking me what they can do to help. And to be honest, I really couldn't think of a lot of things that they could do. But the things that I think I really did appreciate the most is that they just were reaching out, and they were just kind of touching base. Because another beautiful part about this book is that some of your friends are not going to know what to do. And I think I was actually one of those guys a long time ago. One of my buddies had a daughter that fell in a pool and became an invalid. And then eventually she passed away. And I never knew how to address that. And to this day, I feel very sorry about that. But if I had this book, I think it would have been a helpful thing to help me bridge through that, instead of, you know, you're going to have some friends that just disappear. And I think that it's not so much that they're checked out or they don't care. I think it might be a function that they don't know how to help you or how to talk about this. If you've been through this, you know you get tired of people asking you how you're doing and all that other kinds of stuff. And that was one of the things that Alex had talked about, is that I don't want to be known as the kid that both their parents have passed away. I would a lot rather just be known for some of my talents, you know, tennis, rowing, band, being one of the smarter kids in class, whatever it might be. He wants to be known like that, rather than the kid that is, you know, they've got two parents passed away. So that is actually even mentioned in here too, is like, sometimes you just gotta listen. You know, if you're that friend, people do get tired of telling the story, but you can let them say that story, you know, as it goes. And then there's another one in here that I kind of chuckled a little bit. It's called Grief at the Grocery Store. In this, you know, one of the things about living in a small town is everybody knows everybody. But in this example, they would say they would go shopping at different times. In my case, it was ironic because I really got hooked on the Walmart app, and I just pick up curbside. I don't shop anymore. I don't do that kind of stuff, but that's one of the things that Janet used to do, is she would go through and have the shopping list in the app, and then I would run to the store and she would check me in and do all that kinds of stuff. So when she passed away, I didn't want to get rid of her phone or that app. For one, it was lazy. because it's a great feature to be able, once you buy stuff, you kind of find out you're a creature of habit. You kind of buy the same things pretty much every week, or maybe every month you buy the same sort of stuff. You kind of have your own brands. The cool part is it saves your list. And the beauty of it that I found is that I can send that list to me. So I finally shut it off of her phone and moved it over to my phone with my very own, you know, username. Actually, it's her username, but I do use the app, and I was able to bring over the shopping list, so it wasn't really that painful. So kudos to Walmart and doing that type of thing. But and then another part that it says in here, when is it time to, you know, as soldiers, I see a lot of military families when their soldier passes away, particularly if it's a parent. It's very common for people to leave their room set up like it was, and they don't change it for a long time. And so this book gives you the permission. So it's kind of good. It says you don't have to change anything until you're ready. So that's something to keep in mind. You know, don't sweat that kind of stuff. Talked about Alex and kids and grief. He sort of already hates it when the first time he meets somebody, they already say, "Oh, you're the one that, you know, just lost your parents." Family can do crazy things, and we totally went through that experience. And then it kind of wraps up on friendships, which we talked about, where people just disappear. And then before we move on to the wellness, it talks about rage. So all emotion is a response to something. Anger is a response to a sense of injustice. Of course you're angry. Whenever it happens to you, it's unjust. It just happens. It doesn't whether it's fairness or logical, where there's a reason something happened. And that's one of the things. It's like, you know, you're going to hear that a lot. And there's a chapter in here about a lot of the common phrases like, everything happens for a reason. Yeah, that's not very comforting, really. It might be true, but it's not necessarily very comforting. So one of the things, though, that just like anger, it is a choice. You can decide how you react to that anger. So there's a quote in here. It says, "What we don't listen to or refuse to listen to doesn't go away. It just finds another way to speak. Shushed anger joins a backlog of disallowed emotion popping up in health issues, interpersonal challenges, and mental torment." Those negative images of what we have of rage actually come from anger that isn't allowed to exist. Repression creates pressure, which creates toxic behavior set atop what used to be healthy response to injustice. And then, I guess to summarize, it's not something to rush through so you can be more evolved or acceptable to the people around you. But it does say that, though, that touching your anger can be scary. If it feels too big, lean on a trusted friend or therapist. This is one place having an ally is really useful. It's okay to ask people how they feel about hearing your anger. It lets them be prepared to really listen and allows you to know whether they can hear what's true without trying to rush through your anger before it's had its say. And that's probably a good segue, because the next chapter is chapter 7. So chapter 7, since it's Wellness Wednesday, chapter 7 says you can't solve grief, but you don't have to suffer. And while most grief support and well-meaning friends and family encourage you to move through the pain, that's simply the wrong approach. So things like you'll get over it, all that other kinds of things. I think the thing that I've learned the most out of my research and dealing with grief is that it may not ever go away. I think that's a possibility. I think the key, at least for me, seems to be to acknowledge it and learn how to deal with it. What I like about this book, though, is that there is a difference between grief and suffering. And so since it's Wellness Wednesday, what I want to tie this into is the suffering part. So the things that are unhealthy the things like you're not getting sleep, too much alcohol, you know, not doing your regular types of things that you know would help you stay healthier, better diet, all of that sort of stuff. So what they recommend is make a list, and then you can sort out the things that you know are not necessarily healthy, because what it says in here is, in this book, the body keeps score. Bessel writes that the body needs to express itself when exposed to stimuli. It has to, it needs to. When the body and mind experience pain, we have a biological need to express it. Pain that is not allowed to be spoken or expressed turns in on itself and creates more problems. So that's what I'm getting at. And it talks about acknowledging the grief in here. And it says to make a couple lists, and basically to keep track. And when you can sort out those things that, you know, like as you gather all the data and you find out the things that, yeah, this is grief, and I acknowledge it, and will learn to accept it and deal with it. So writing down these things like evidence of suffering is like poor sleep, no appetite, excessive appetite, nightmares, intrusive thoughts, anxiety, self-judgment, emotional reactivity. Reactivity is different from grief or pain. Short temper, sense of guilt, disproportionate to actual responsibility, inability to breathe through intense emotion, or compartmentalizing intensity enough to care for yourself. Feeling victimized by your own pain or by the responses of others. A sense that your pain is too large to be contained or survived. So if your list falls into those types of things, then you really need to figure out how to cut those things out because they're causing more suffering than learning to and being able to deal with the grief. So some of the stuff that's good though: emotional evenness, self-kindness, sense of being held or companioned inside your pain, validation, feeling somewhat rested, eating enough for your body's needs, feeling an acceptance of your emotional state, no matter what the state is, ability to respond to others' poor behavior with clear redirection and correction, taking things less personally, ability to compartmentalize intense emotion or remove yourself from a situation in order to tend to that emotion, sense of connection of self, others, and those that you've lost. Those would be more on the wellness side. So those are learning to work through and acknowledge the grief. So a lot of those things too, if you go back to the first Hunt the Good Stuff Thursday video, a lot of those things that I just mentioned would be great things to be able to hunt the good stuff on. And remember, when you're hunting the good stuff, just a quick little backlog about hunting the good stuff. Hunting the Good Stuff Thursdays is the way I look at it. It's just a day that I go through and remember, like, there's a lot of good things out there, and how the thing that's different about just being the glass is half full or, you know, always looking on the bright side of things, is that you have a personal responsibility, and that you can recreate, or you can put yourself in those types of situations that, you know, can be helpful and beneficial. The other benefits to those kinds of things is that it also can help you redirect your mind away from the negativity bias, and probably can rewire your brain so that you actually have a lot more mental agility. So when you run up against a problem, you actually can you can reroute another way around it, or come up with a solution that, if it just overwhelms you, you may not have thought of a solution. You know, one of those things where it's like, I wish I would have thought of that. You know, like if you're in a fight or something, it's not really tied in with Hunt the Good Stuff, but you know, that feeling is like, man, I wish I would have thought of that. Because a lot of times when somebody from the outside, for instance, may come up and say, why didn't you try that? And you're like, man, I just didn't think of it. But sometimes rewiring your brain and getting away from that negativity bias can give you and your brain other options that sometimes you hadn't thought about before. So since it's coming up to Hunt the Good Stuff Thursday tomorrow, keep some of those in mind, and make a list of those types of things. if you're going through this, think about the things and maybe make a list of those things that are negative. Eating too much alcohol, not sleeping, bad diet, not enough diet, not enough food. There's a lot of different things kind of along that way. So look at that type of stuff. But then on the retrospect for that, think about those things. Self-kindness, taking care of your body's needs, having a good diet, responding more appropriately to poor behavior, not being too hard on yourself and feeling too guilty. All those types of things. Those are all the things that you could add into hunting the good stuff. So I hope everybody's doing well. It's a great Wednesday, man, and the sunset is just about to come. Let me see if I can. I wish I could just turn this around. So I just wanted to give you a big glimpse there of the sunset. And that's one of the things that I get to look at as I'm wrapping up this video. Pretty cool sunset that I'm looking at. You don't get to see it. But it's a beautiful day here in the South. I apologize, or I'm sorry for all you that are up in North that are getting tons and tons of snow. I wanted to give a good shout out to the University of Washington as they start their very first part of the season that's coming up. They have been tentatively ranked at number 20, which is really surprising because they are a very new and rebuilding team. They've got new coaches, a lot of new players, and they're coming down from the Pacific Northwest to go down to Tallahassee and play volleyball there at Tallahassee at Florida State. So dubs up to those guys. Number 15, I'm told, is not traveling with them this trip, but apparently she will be going for the next few games or the next few weekends. They go fast and furious almost every single weekend, so they'll be in Los Angeles next weekend, and then after that they'll go on out to Hawaii, which most of their team is really stoked for that. So anyway, hope you all have a great Wellness Wednesday. Thanks for dialing in. Thanks for all the positive comments. Thanks for all the people that are subscribing. And if this is beneficial, share it. Hopefully it's beneficial to y'all. But I just wish everybody a great Wednesday. Have a great Thursday. Remember to hunt the good stuff, since it's Hunt the Good Stuff Eve. It's not too early to start thinking about that. So hope everyone does well. Dubs up to the University of Washington. Go Dogs. And love y'all. Take care.